But, okay.
Just to comment on that, when we say, don't counsel them, we're talking therapy. Obviously, we're giving a lot of support. That's what they're for. We're giving support, we're being a strength for them. We're holding them up in this terrible time. Depending on your definition of counseling, we're talking therapies. Don't get into therapy and don't try to dissect why the abuser is how they are, or what deep-seated emotion, or what happened to them as a child, or whatever. That stuff you shouldn't get into. But yeah, we do say support and help in every way. Get them to resources, provide them with resources, make sure to do follow-up and see if they've done that, go with them. All that stuff is counseling also, but we just want to make that difference. Not therapy, but do counsel and give support. Because it's super difficult to even the person to come forward and say this is happening, because it is an embarrassment. A lot of them blame themselves that this is happening because they feel like they're going to be judged. Well, this person, why didn't you see it before? Couldn't you tell? Why didn't you leave sooner? What are you, like I said, a lot of blame going on, so a lot of support, but no therapy.
Yes, thank you for that clarification. That's a huge need to clarify that aspect. It's just important in general to recognize that when you're dealing with somebody in domestic violence, their safety should be your primary concern, even before trying to keep the family together. Those basic needs need to be the priority. So we touched on this briefly. A lot of people ask, why does she stay? And I honestly hate that phrase. I think it's really important that we change it and make sure, okay, what are the barriers that are keeping her from leaving? And some of those things are that they fear that they're going to have their kids taken away by DCFS. That is something that gets threatened all the time in the cases that we work as advocates. They're being told that they are being threatened, that you'll never see your kids again. So that keeps them in a relationship. They obviously want to be with their children and want their kids safe. The family beliefs, marriage beliefs, and just society's response. It's not uncommon for these abusers to be very well known in the community. They may have positions of authority, and they may fear of not being believed, and that what will happen financially to her situation, is he going to be able to hire a really hotshot attorney if they try to go down that route and she has nothing being able to help her. And that's another reason why we have a lot of legal resources that we have printed on a resource list that are available for victims of domestic violence if they have questions about their legal rights in a relationship. We have a resource called the Family Justice Center. This is a resource that is held every Tuesday night at the Health and Justice Building in Provo. The address is 151 South University Avenue. It's held every Tuesday night from 5 to 8, and that is a resource that is your one-stop shop. You've got advocates there, legal attorneys there that can help provide legal advice for the victims and their children. You've got community action and a lot of other community resources. So I just want to put that plug because it's a huge thing that can be referred to when working with clients. I think that's good.
All right, let's talk about our abuser a little bit. And obviously the abuser's not this big monster, otherwise the person probably wouldn't be with them to begin with. And they're not going to have all these personality traits, but they're probably going to have a couple of them. First and foremost, which we see when we do these interviews, is there's a great amount of control that's needed in that relationship. I mean, getting down to controlling possibly even when a person talks, or when they're allowed to even talk to friends, what they're wearing, how they spend their spare time. Very critical of everything they do because they want that person second guessing and always being the person that victim comes to and is allowed to do things. It's that control that feeds a lot of this abusiveness. There's an isolation that could be emotional or physical. We've seen people try to control their new spouse or significant other by moving away from family, so they don't have that resource. Because if they had that resource, they're going to have that support, and if they had that support, they might lead the abuser. So they'll try to isolate them however they can. Obviously, there's a lot of jealousy and possessiveness that comes along with that control. obviously some rage if we're having